Okay, now I've saved the best for last. These are my two biggest bones of contention with this set. The two biggest, most grievous errors, in my opinion. So let's save the biggest one for last. This first one, to me, is just a wasted opportunity. It's just a case of, if you're going to go that way, why not take it all the way instead of half-assing it? And honestly, I feel that this particular thing was really unnecessarily half-assed. What am I talking about? Well, let's take a look here. We have, of course... Whoops. So I was watching some of the episodes with Rosie, actually. We have, of course, the booklet, which I've been pretty positive about so far, but there's one thing about this book that really annoys me, and that is the fact that one of the huge selling points about why you want this book is that it has exciting trivia about every episode. Well, it doesn't specifically say about every episode, but the implication is that there's going to be a lot of trivia stuff in here. Now, here's the thing. I mean, they interviewed just about every major creator of the show, just about every creative person behind the making of the show they could get their hands on. Not to mention the fact that they were in constant contact with the entire Transformers fan community. There was no lack of resources available from which they could draw interesting information to put as trivia in the book. Now here's the problem. There are 98 episodes total. You know how many trivia items are in this entire book for those 98 episodes? 8. That's it. 8 trivia items for the entire series. And a lot of them aren't even that particularly interesting or earth-shattering. It's like, really? That's the best you could do with that world of resources at your fingertips? You could only come up with 8 stinking little trivia tidbits for your big trivia section? The thing that pissed me off about that was the fact that they were hyping up the fact that the book has trivia in it as a selling point. That was a selling point. Now, if you're going to offer that as a selling point, make it worthwhile. Okay? Because I'm sorry, guys, but you really half-assed the trivia. The actual count for Season 1, you have 1 trivia item. 1. That's it. Season 1, Ground Zero, the beginning of the Transformers legend, right there. And you could only come up with 1 trivia item? Seriously? Season 2, when the show went daily, 5 days a week, it was bigger than it had ever been before. You got 3. Whoop-de-doo. 3 whole entire trivia items. And Season 3, post-movie era, you've got 4. That's it. So 8 total. 8 stinking trivia items for 98 episodes of this legendary show. I mean, my thinking is, if you were only going to do 8 trivia items, why did you even bother having the bios in there? You know? The character bios. There's only 15 character bios in here, and there are how many hundreds of characters in the entire thing? I mean, really, do we need to know who Optimus Prime is or Megatron? I'm pretty sure we know who they are. You know, not to mention the fact it covers their backstories in the show. I mean, it's nice to have the bios, but honestly, if we got the bios at the expense of the trivia, I say just ditch the bios. Really. It seems like they were trying to put more stuff in this book than they actually had a page count to do adequately. So the best thing about this book is you've got stills and summaries of every single episode. That's the best thing about this book. But the trivia and the bios really are not worth the price of admission. Not by a long shot. Especially when the year before, Time Life put out a little set called The Real Ghostbusters. Now, The Real Ghostbusters is nearly twice the number of episodes of Transformers. And look at that. It comes with a book. And check this out. They got trivia and information about every single episode, without exception. They list the extras for every episode, and they give you trivia for every single episode, without exception. Why couldn't they do that with Transformers? I don't know. It's like if you're trying to do the Time Life thing, Do the Time Life thing. Take it all the way. Don't half-ass it. Especially when you put so much effort into the rest of the set, into the beautiful packaging, the quality of the episodes, the extras, everything. I mean, it really diminishes it when you have a booklet that you're using as a selling point that is great in some respects and not so great in others. It's like, come on. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know what to tell you. Maybe it's nitpicking, but it's like, if you're going to do it, do it. If you're not going to do it differently. You know, it's like, don't half-ass it. I hate it when things get half-assed, especially when the rest of it is so good. It just seems like they got lazy when it got time to make the book. All right, so the last thing. This is the big one. This is the one that I just cannot believe they screwed up. I mean, it just seems like something completely obvious. And given all the attention to detail that they put into the rest of the episodes, I just cannot fathom how this was overlooked. When Brian Ward was asked about this on the boards for an explanation, all he could say was, I don't know what to tell you guys. I just got so caught up in everything else, I forgot. Sorry. Well, we're only human, right? But, okay, whatever the reason was, that's probably all the reason is. He probably literally just forgot because he was pretty much single-handedly remastering all 98 episodes of the Transformers and all 95 episodes of the Sunbow Marvel G.I. Joe series at the same time as well. So what is it? Well, following the movie, we had Season 3 of the show. Season 3 opened with a 5-part story called 5 Faces of Darkness. A lot of fans refer to it as Transformers the Movie 2, because it literally picks up right where the movie leaves off and tells us an epic 5-part story that leads into the events of the final season. I know there's a Season 4, but Season 4 is 3 episodes. I just consider that to be an epilogue to Season 3. So there's really only 3 proper seasons. Whatever. Anyway, so what's the problem with 5 Faces of Darkness? Well, one thing I should mention that is a plus that I forgot to mention on the other episode, but I assume you're all watching all 5 parts, is with the multi-part stories, you have an option where you can watch them all as one big, long story without interruption. So it just shows you the episodes without all the recaps and next episode previews and titles, opening, closing titles in between the episodes. So it just shows the opening titles at the beginning of part 1 and then the closing titles at the end of the final part, however many parts that particular story is. So you can watch it in its original episodic form with all the recaps and next episode previews and opening and closing titles, or you can watch it basically in movie format without being interrupted. So that's pretty cool. I like having that option, actually. And 5 Faces of Darkness gives you that option. Now, every season of the Transformers, and the same goes for G.I. Joe, actually, had its own unique opening title sequence at the beginning. So they would have a new title sequence every season. Now, in the case of Season 3, they did something special, something unique, something that I thought was kind of cool. To distinguish 5 Faces of Darkness, the miniseries, from the regular episodes, they actually gave 5 Faces of Darkness its own title sequence. It was a completely different title sequence, set to the same theme song, but different sound effects, obviously, than the rest of the season. And it only appeared on that 5-part story. And so far, the only release that's gotten it right was the old Family Home Entertainment release on VHS and Laserdisc way back in the 90s. The Rhino release didn't get it right, and this release doesn't get it right. What did they get wrong? Well, let me give you the breakdown here, and you can see just how ridiculous it is. Part 1 has the regular Season 3 opening titles. Part 2 has the regular Season 3 opening titles. Part 3, we have the 5 Faces of Darkness video of the opening titles, but set to the audio from the regular Season 3 titles, so none of the sound effects match up. Great. That helps. Part 4, we've got the regular Season 3 titles, and then Part 5, once again, we have the 5 Faces of Darkness opening with the regular Season 3 titles. Really? That's... none of the 5 parts have the right, correct opening on them. None of them. Not even one. If at least one of them had the correct opening, then that'd be great. You know, at least we'd have it once. But here's the problem. I mean, not only do we have the incorrect opening on all 5 parts, but if you watch it as a movie, it just takes the opening from part 1, which is the incorrect opening. It's the opening from after the miniseries. So that's my biggest bone of contention, because it's a big, special, notable, significant, epic story with its own unique intro, and it is completely incorrectly presented on the discs. I mean, it's not like it would take much effort to correct the intro. In fact, I corrected the intro for you in case you're curious as to what it looks like. So as a nice little goodbye to the problems section, let's take a look at the correct intro from 5 Faces of Darkness. And there you go. So that's the intro that should have been on all 5 parts, but wasn't. In case you're wondering, how long did it take me to find the correct elements? Well, I just took the video off of this, because we had at least the video from 2 episodes, and then took the audio from another source that had the correct audio. All told, I think it took me about 20 minutes to put that intro together in correct form and sync everything up. So 20 minutes, you know, to get a master of the intro, and then maybe a couple hours to slot it into the episodes. Like, come on, really? And to my knowledge, it's never been corrected. Like, the standalone release of seasons 3 and 4 has it incorrect. The 15-disc release has it incorrect. So I don't know what to tell you. It's frustrating that something like that occurred when and it just blows my mind that how could you forget something so obvious and significant when you paid so much attention to detail on the rest of the set. It just boggles my mind. Now, do I consider all of these issues to be deal breakers? Absolutely not, because all of the technical issues that I've described with the set are present on the Rhino versions anyway. So really, it shouldn't make or break the deal. I would base your decision on whether or not to get this set on the positive aspects, because the positive aspects definitely outweigh the negative aspects. I know I kind of go off on, you know, my little rants and whatnot, but honestly, a lot of these issues are nitpicking. The biggest one for me is the thing with the 5 Faces of Darkness intro. I mean, that was just irritating, having to, you know, see that, especially since it's such an awesome story that leads into what I think was a fantastic season. I mean, there's some really good stories in season. I think season 3 had the best writing out of the entire series. You know, it's just fantastic. It's really, really good stuff. But anyway. Well, that's pretty much it for the review part of this review. Next time, I'm going to answer a long-standing question that a lot of fans have had, namely, can the Transformers Generation 1 series ever be put on Blu-ray? Well, we'll talk about that in the concluding chapter. Until then, thanks for watching, and sayonara.